Okay, it is 6:30, and I'm going to call the meeting to order. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Eisenman,
Here.
Esri,
Here.
Furtado. Furtado. Goss,
Here.
Harper,
Here.
Ingram,
Ho, ho, ho.
McGuire, Patterson, Rector,
Here.
Storr, Summers,
Here.
Taylor, Thorsland,
Here.
Tinsley,
Present.
Wolken,
Here.
Young,
Here.
Clemens, Clifford, Coert, Dillard Meyer,
Present.
Rosales,
Okay, there's a quorum present, and the meeting will proceed. Please join me in the prayer for the evening. May we use this season of celebration to spark new hope and stir up our passion for new possibilities. As we look back over the past year, forgive us for missed opportunities for kind words and helpful actions. As we look forward to the coming year, strengthen us to face reality with courage and wisdom until we see the future for which our hearts yearn. Open our hearts so that we may contribute positively to every day that you lay before us, even as it unfolds. Amen. Would you rise for the pledge? Okay, would the clerk read the notice of the meeting, please?
Notice is hereby given that a regular meeting of the County Board, Champaign County, Illinois, will convene December 19th, 2019, 6:30 p.m. in the Lyle Shields Meeting Room, Brookings Administrative Center, 1776 East Washington Street, Urbana, Illinois, in said county for the purpose of allowing and ordering payments of claims against the county, receiving and acting upon reports of committees, and such other business as may be brought before said meeting, which said meeting shall continue in session from day to day until the completion of said business.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is approval of the agenda. We do have one change, which is to move the items that are 13C 1 and 2, which are recognizing our county employees, to the beginning of the meeting before item number 7, so that they can be at the beginning of the meeting, which we agreed to in the past. With that correction, can I get approval to have our agenda? Mr. Goss? Mr. Thorsland? Discussion? Seeing none, those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. Okay, next is the date and time of our regular meetings. So this will be after the holidays. We'll start our regular meeting schedule again. Next will be the adoption of resolution number 2019360, honoring retiring county employees. Can I get a motion? Mr. Storr, Mr. Esri, any discussion? Those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. The policy committee will recognize retiring employees. If you're here tonight, would you please come forward when your name is called?
Thank you. Let me say this is really great. I retired in 2017, so I'm feeling you. Okay, Jacqueline K. Rose, 32 years of service. Carol A. Robinson, 22 years of service. Rena M. Anderson, 15 years of service. Just stand right there where I'm at. So okay. Jacqueline F. Judith. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. Oops, sorry.
I'm sorry. If they're here this evening, we have a clock to give them for their retirement.
Okay. Jacqueline F. Judith, 18 years of service. William Simmering, 32 years of service. Come on now. Okay. Paula E. Clark, 15 years of service. William A. Davis, 12 years of service. Brian L. Menningen, 29 years of service. Tracy L. Wagner, 29 years of service. Steve Ziegler, 22 years of service. Betsy J. Carper, 28 years of service. Vice.
Sandra J. Engel, 15 years. Jamie J. Hitt, 35 years. Catherine A. Elliott, 8 years. Charles L. Glass, 27 years. Nancy R. Griffin, 32 years. David R. Umberger, 20 years. Richard Feeney, 27 years. Catherine F. Marquardt, 3 years. Tony T. Woods, 10 years. Ellen L. Byer, 13 years. Diane Nesbitt, 25 years.
Okay. Karen Brent, 5 years of service.
Is that are you on the next?
Yeah.
We got to do the resolution first.
Oh,
Those are the
What-
people
what
that
are
are retiring from county service. Okay. And the next item will be adoption of resolution number 2019-361, honoring county employees with specific years of service that are in increments of 5 years. And I do want to note for those of you that didn't get, if you're not the chair or the vice chair, there is a revised list. Jeff Blue's name was left off of the list inadvertently at the bottom, so it's now on there. Can the executive get a motion? Mr. Ingram? Mr. Storr? Okay, any discussion? Those in favor? Those opposed? Motion carries. Okay, now the policy committee will recognize employees for their years of service. And there's not any clocks for you guys, so please just stand when your name is read.
all righty. 5 years of service. Karen Brent, 5 years of service. Mary Bunyard, 5 years of service. Jessica Bergner, 5 years of service. George Castor, 5 years of service. Jamie Crawford, 5 years of service. Robin Curtis, 5 years of service. Rebecca Igbick, 5 years of service. Susan Foster, 5 years of service. Carlos Gabra, if I said that right, 5 years of service. Stephen Guest, 5 years of service.
All the next 10 names that I'm going to read are all 5 years of service. Robert Hubbard, Bernard Joyner, Courtney Keller, Maria Kelly, Cecilia Phillips, Sarah Rand, Dale, oh, sorry. Dale Rodden, Alexis Roberts, Marcy Rose, Brian Vanetti.
Okay, continue with 5 years of service. Why I get these hard names? Ashlyn Warren, 5 years. Zachary White, 5 years. Pillar Amara. Maria Harris. Kayla Pfister. Angela Goins. Shelby Kirkpatrick. Richard Norris. Deborah Peterick. And Ava Mora. 5 years.
Claudia Sparrow, 5 years. April Steele, 5 years. Pamela Williams, 5 years. Matthew Yoder, 5 years. Now we go to 10 years. Don Aldridge, 10 years. Kirk Bedwell, 10 years. Kathleen Crombez, 10 years. Billy Pryor, 10 years. Lindsay Yankus, 10 years. Sarah Girth, also 10 years.
Continue at 10 and 15. Lynn Canfield, 10 years of service. Kathy Larson, 10 years of service. Nicole Martin, 10 years of service. Tracy McAfee, 10 years of service. Darcy Steger, 10 years of service. Stephanie Vendetter, 10 years. Jeff Blue, 15 years. Shane Cook, 15. Dana Craig, 15 years. Clifford Crawley, 15 years.
The following names I'm going to read, also 15 years of service. Marla Elmore, Andrew Good, Sean Hallett, Seth Herrig, Alicia Hibbs, Sherilyn Janeski, Bobby Joe Johnson, Troy Lozar, Justin Matthew, Joshua Reefsteck.
15 continue and 220s. Lena Riley, 15. Michael Wirtz, 15. Patricia Chancellor, 15. Holly Hutchcraft, 15. Don Rear, 15. Brenda Todd, 15. Christine Ward, 15. Juliana Watson, 15. Constant Berry, 20 years. Joel Fleshler, 20 years.
Congratulations to the following for 20 years of service. Eileen someone would help me?
Just keep going.
I apologize.
It's okay.
Glory. Thank you very much. Jeanette Jackson, Janie Miller Jones, Susan Monty, Kyle Savely, Charles Schwab, David Sherrick, Donna Bloomer, Mark Driscoll, Cheryl Chancellor, and with 25 years of service, Amber Coker.
And last but not least, 25, 30, and 35 years. Kevin McCaslер, 25. Angela McCarty, 25. Pamela Brown, 25. Rebecca Brown, 25. James Hogue, 25. Mary Kershad, 25. Timothy Brim, 30. Teresa Schlein, 30 years. James Snodgrass, 30 years. Julie Ogley, 35 years. And Jeanette Wells, 35 years. Let's give them all a round of applause.
Okay, thank you. We're moving on now to public participation. We do have some folks tonight that would like to speak. When I call your name, if you'd please step forward to the mic up here. You each have 5 minutes, and there's a 1 hour limit if there's that many speakers. The first one is Vic White.
Thank you. I'm here to speak on behalf of Prairie View Ogden School District. Unfortunately, this is the second time I've had to come to speak to you guys. I'm here because, again, usually in the past, our money, our tax levy money, is all to us by this time of the year. And when I stopped in to turn my 2019 tax levy into Pius, or I turned it into the county, I went over and seen Pius at the treasurer's office and asked when we could get our last payment. And he said, didn't think we'd get it this year. Again, I want you to remember when we file this 2018, it's payable in 2019. Is that not going to happen? So I punched up, this is from Laura's website, Prairie View Ogden, all the way back to 2009. I can give you all the data if you want me to read. 6 distributions, about every year. So it says, let's start here just with 2010. We got a distribution in May. We got a distribution in June. We got a distribution in July. We got a distribution in September. And we got a distribution in October. 2011, which is your actual levy year of 10, payable in 11. Distribution in May, distribution in June, distribution in July, distribution in August, distribution in September, distribution in October. I can keep going all the way up to last year. I don't understand why the county is not flowing our money. Prairie View Ogden is owed $165,000. Maybe that's not a lot to you guys. That is a lot to my little school district. I'd like some answers, but every time we come here, I can't get any answers. I would like somebody to call me and actually talk to me. That would be great. I'd appreciate that. I came in the office and Pia doesn't know the answer. I need an answer. You have to remember, some of that money is your bond money. I have to pay a bond in December. And you're not giving me my money or the school district its money. It's sad. This is sad. That's all I have to say. Disappointed. Disappointed in 24 years being here, and I've had to come here twice. That's disappointing.
Thank you. The next will be Andrew Larson.
I've been a superintendent in Champaign County since 2004. I was at Heritage for a number of years, about 7. The rest of my time has been with Unit 7 schools. Our frustration, more than anything, is, we've tried early on to do the right thing. I made a call to your county clerk, had a conversation. I was towards the end of it, and it was a good conversation. But towards the end of it, it was, I was asked how I would run my school district if 80% of my people would leave. Well, 80% of my people wouldn't leave. So, I'm not going to respond to that in that respect because, again, and I understand there's a learning curve to everything. But along those same lines, we came earlier in the year to have hopefully what we thought was a functional, at least tell you where we're at with this whole situation. And Mr. White's right. I mean, it's a situation where, yes, we can still get some money in 2020 for this, but, I'm still owed $618,000, a little over that, about almost 800 or 617 or 19 actually, $1,000, and we do have bonds we have to pay. We have school districts we need to run. It should be a flow-through situation. My concern is when I walk in and the gentleman at the table in the treasurer's office tells me there's just a lot of problems. That should be a huge concern for all of you. I mean, there should be, in my mind, you know, where's the oversight to make sure people are doing their jobs? Okay? I have deadlines I have to meet, and I'm not allowed not to meet them. You know, and again, when I read the paper and I see that, you know, backlog forces hand to the county and we've got to hire a firm because, you know, somebody goes on a maternity leave and we're going to blame that individual for that, if that's actually real information and factual and not fake news, you know, somebody's not doing their job. And that's not acceptable. So there needs to be some accountability. And we would ask you, as, you know, I'm not speaking for the other superintendents, but for myself, that we put aside everything else and just make sure that the job gets done that's supposed to be done. And if anything else, if we can get anything else, is some communication out of these offices with our school districts. Instead of us having to, you know, we're told things. I mean, I had your treasurer, we had your treasurer show up at one of our meetings and told us that you're going to get all your money and you're going to get it on time and this, that, and the other. I mean, so it didn't happen. And so you understand where the frustration is with all this with us. We just want, you know, I mean, the confidence level is not there. I have very strong concerns on how things are being run out of a couple offices in this building, just because of how we've had to, you know, deal with things since the election. And that doesn't mean I didn't have problems with people in these offices before the election, because I did. But I want, you know, we need to work through these things and make things happen. And when I read stuff like that, that's really what, you know, made me decide I needed to come and at least have a conversation with you tonight and see if we can somehow get some resolve and get people to function. And again, he's right. We need that money. And the statute's very clear that it should be flow through, and it should be coming right to the districts and any other taxing body out there. So it's not just about us. But I want to make sure we get taken care of in that respect. And again, if somebody else wants to change how schools are funded, by all means, you know, have at it. But for now, this is how it's done. And we need, you know, we need people that are going to work with us to make these things happen and communicate with us and tell us exactly what's supposed to happen so we don't have to guess how we're going to go about business. You know, I'm told we're going to get our early tax money. I didn't budget for it because I'm not confident that that's going to happen. I hope I'm wrong. I hope I am pleasantly surprised. But as of right now, I can tell you from the group of superintendents, our frustration level is really super high on how things are being handled. So I appreciate you listening, and thank you for your time.
Thank you. John Bambenek?
Thank you. You've heard from the previous two speakers of some of the problems that county government and the dysfunction of county government's causing. I'm here to talk about what to do about it. Recently, one of your members decided that he wants to get rid of the recorder office. Fine, I'm game for limiting government. You can do that on the ballot directly. It's clear he's running for the office because he's a carnival barker in search of a paycheck. But he's not wrong about getting rid of some offices because there's far too many elected officials running around here causing too many problems. So I'm here to suggest 3 reforms that you put on your January agenda, and you can put it on the ballot, and it would be on your terms. If you do not do it, I will put it on the ballot and petition under mine. The first is simple, is to get rid of county executive and return back to the previous form of county government. This experiment has failed. The second, the University of Illinois has about a $3 billion budget. It's governed by a board of 12. The city of Champaign and Urbana have 9 city council members. Unit 4 has 7 school board members, and those units of government run fine. I have yet to find anybody who can justify why there are 22 county board members. That number can be drastically reduced to 7 or 9. The third is also fairly simple, is that needs to be term limits. Very popular, and it's clear from some of the problems that have existed in this county and county government that have gone back for many years that there needs to be new blood in here to actually solve those problems. So those are the 3 things I'm asking you to put on your January agenda, to put on the ballot in November. Otherwise, as I said, I can do it by citizen initiative and put it binding on the ballot in November myself. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other members of the public that wish to speak this evening? Seeing none, we're closing public participation. Next on the agenda is the consent agenda, and this requires a roll call. Can the executive get a motion to approve the consent agenda? Mr. Esri? Ms. Cowart? Any discussion? Mr. Esri?
Yeah, I didn't catch this, but I guess when we're, the resolutions on the land bank, they have my name at the top of all three of them.
Yeah, that's a typo. We'll have to fix that.
So I don't know if those should be pulled or if they can just be,
No, they can just be, that's a technical
Okay.
correction we can do.
okay.
But yes, you're correct. They have to be corrected to the right name at the top. Any other discussion? Okay, this does require a roll call.
Eisenman,
Yes.
Esri,
Yes.
Furtado,
Yes.
Goss,
Yes.
Harper,
Yes.
Ingram,
Yes.
McGuire,
Yes.
Patterson, Rector,
Yes.
Storr, Summers,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Thorsland,
Yes.
Tinsley,
Yes.
Wolkin,
Yes.
Young,
Yes.
Clifford, Cowart,
Yes.
Dillard Meyer,
Yes.
Rosales.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Next, we're on item 9, communications from the board. Does any member of the board have communications regarding business? Mr. Young.
Thank you very much. First, I'd like to start off by saying, before I won't forget, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to all the board members, as well as the people sitting in the audience. So, Merry Christmas. Thank you, County Executive. My communication is this. I'm not going to be long-winded, but just a few comments. Once again, since I've been on the county board, I had come to the conclusion that its system, practices, and process has a lot of flaws that seriously need to be looked into in regards to how things are done and how decisions are made. And I'm not just talking about with voting alone, but with behind-scenes activities and what takes place also now in our public meeting. There's no real checks and balance system in place here with this form of new government. No language to say how things is really done correctly or not. A lot of ambiguities and open communication, which I think is intentionally done, or if not, a lack of really knowing what's going on, how to do things, which I think is dishonest toward our taxpayers and how we use our money. Secondly, real briefly, I gotta write everything down because I'll forget. I sent a thorough email to all the county board members, and I know it was a lot pertaining to my 2 past resolutions. And if you have time to read it, that's fine. If not, go back and read it. There's a lot there. I'm requesting to the county executive, and I'm making a motion right now to have my 2 resolutions edited to my standards since they are now public records. The dates need to be revised since this resolution was voted on, approved on, and passed. It's not indicated in the new rule book. All the county chair, county clerk, and county executive need to sign it. And how to properly, also indicate how to properly do an appendix cover page with the additional travel page. Can I get a motion?
That's out of order, Charles. It's not a place for a motion. This is communications to the
Oh,
board.
okay, I'm sorry. That's it.
Are there any other communications to the board? Mr. Goss?
Yeah, I would just like to have you put it on the record this evening and give us a status update of the Clifton Larson Allen audit, where they're at in the process, how many months they've reconciled the bank accounts, and then I would like to have it on the record where we are at on the CAFR. RPC, I set, Mr. Summers and I sat sit on the RPC board, and they're very concerned. They've got about $7.5 million of grants sitting out there waiting for the CAFR. And if that doesn't get done, those grants are at risk, and they're very concerned. So I bring that forward to this board from RPC.
Okay, thank you. The auditor's report will be later in the meeting. Mr. Esri?
Yeah, seeing not nowhere else really on the agenda for this. Basically, just a question. Does anyone in this room know where the county sits financially at the end of the year?
Mr. Ingram?
Just a mild bit of carnival barking. Last meeting, I brought up that the Garden Hills and IPA issue had been brought forth at a school board meeting, and just wanted to make sure that everybody was aware of the fact that on Tuesday, January 7th at 5:30 p.m. at Garden Hills Academy, there will be a public meeting with Superintendent Zola. And I think anybody who has any sort of questions or concerns or anything about the potential of moving kids from Garden Hills to a different school across town, or just kind of any general idea of what's going on, if you wanted to find out more about that, that would be a good time to go. So once again, that's Tuesday, January 7th, 5:30 p.m. at Garden Hills Academy. Thanks.
Okay, seeing no, Ms. Eiserman?
I'm sorry, I have a question. If I'm out of order, you can tell me. I don't know when to do it or how to do it, but I just am really concerned about our Champaign County school districts not getting their money. And so I really am interested in how can we find an answer for them. I'm not on the finance committee, and so I don't know if, I'm not on the actual committee. I'm on the ELUC, but so like, how can we get an answer? Why are they not getting their money for the year?
That's not, it wouldn't be in communication that we would talk about that. It would have to be an agenda item for discussion.
Okay.
Or potentially when the treasurer gives a report or the auditor, you can ask them.
Okay.
Okay. Jim?
Well, this is communication. And obviously we have a huge issue in our treasurer's office. I'm tired of having these people come and ask when they're going to get their money. Actually, we have two issues. The treasurer's office isn't reconciling the funds that are in the treasurer's office, and the money isn't flowing through the treasurer's office to all these taxing bodies. No one has any idea how much money is in the county. Nobody has any idea how much money is going to these taxing bodies. And that's ridiculous. And we're not getting any reports from the executive or their offices, and have no understanding of how much money this county has. That is ridiculous. That's crazy. When is that going to be on the agenda? When are we going to get these reports? And has it been asked, the final report for this year? The incompetence that brings, and the way that makes this county look, and what it's going to do to RPC and Head Start, if that money doesn't come through, is bizarre and crazy that we've been put in this position because of the treasurer's office and the clerk's office. This idea that there's been positions missing and unfilled has more to do with the management of both those offices and the people in them than it does with the county. That's gone on for a year is crazy. People don't want to work in the office. That's the problem. Go manage the offices properly. You haven't given any reason for why that hasn't been fixed. Have no understanding from anything that's been presented to any of us of how you're going to fix it, when you're going to understand why this is going to be done properly. And the people coming here have no idea of when the issue is going to be fixed, because you make excuses to the paper and everybody else why it's somebody else's fault. And call names. Figure out what the hell's going on. Figure out how to do your jobs and start telling the public the truth.
Mr. Summers?
just in terms of information, RPC is concerned about grants, but to say that there is an issue with Head Start and other grants at this point is premature.
Okay, I think we're moving past communication and into discussion here, so let's move on to approval of minutes. May the executive have a motion to approve the minutes for the November 13th, 2019 final minutes from the Ad hoc IT Planning Committee. These are being brought to the full board because that committee has disbanded. Mr. Esri? Ms. Taylor? Any discussion? Seeing none, those in favor? Those opposed? Motion carries. Can the executive get a motion to approve the minutes for November 21st, 2019? Moved by Mr. Patterson. Second by Mr. Ingram. Discussion? Seeing none, those in favor? Those opposed? Motion carries. On to standing committees. The county facilities summary of action taken December 3rd, 2019 is accepted and placed on file. Moving on to standing areas of responsibility, summary of action taken December 10th, 2019 at the Committee of the Whole meeting is accepted and placed on file. Going down to new business. Okay, these items need to be addressed. Normally, most of them would have gone through committee, but there's either the committee didn't meet this month or there's a timing issue. We need to address it right now. So can the executive get a motion for item 1, either separately or all together? Mr. Esri?
Yes, if there's no objection for an omnibus motion, I'll make it an omnibus motion. I move approval of the annual renewal of recreation and entertainment licenses for Alto Vineyards, 4210 North Duncan Road, Champaign, for 1/1/20, the period of 1/1/20 through 12/31/20. Curtis Orchard, 3902 South Duncan Road, Champaign, 1/1/20 through 12/31/20. And Gordyville, LLC, 2205 County Road 3000 North, Gifford, for 1/1/20 through 12/31/20.
I'm sorry, I missed the second by Mr. Thorsland. Okay, any discussion? Seeing none, those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Can I get a motion for adoption of resolution number 2019345, awarding contracts for the furnish and delivery of aggregate materials for 2020 maintenance of various road districts in Champaign County? Ms. Cowart, Mr. Ingram, discussion? Those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Can I get a motion for adoption of resolution number 2019-368, amending ordinance 2019-13, an ordinance establishing a discrimination and harassment policy, which we just did at our last meeting. We're amending it already. Motion by Ms. Cowart, second by Mr. Rosales. Discussion? Those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. Can I get an adoption of resolution number 2019-364, approving the application of and if awarded acceptance of the Illinois Department of Transportation grant? Mr. Patterson? Mr. Ingram? Discussion? Those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. Can I get a motion for the adoption of resolution number 2019-362, authorizing a budget transfer 19-00013, Fund 080, General Corporate Department 022, County Clerk, the total amount being $28,000. Reason to use understaffed surplus funds for additional election equipment. Mrs. Cowart, second Mr. Tinsley. Discussion? Mr. Storr?
Yes.
An awful lot has been said about the poor work or complaints about some of our county departments. Those may have some merit, but I'd also like to point out that this is a circumstance that was taken up by the initiative of the county clerk, and should be commended for the savings that it made to the county and for helping us all prepare for the coming election.
Any other discussion? Those in favor? Oh, I'm sorry, you're right. This is a roll call vote.
Eisenman,
Yes.
Esri,
Yes.
Furtado,
Yes.
Goss,
Yes.
Harper,
Yes.
Ingram,
Yep.
McGuire,
Yes.
Patterson, Rector,
Yes.
Storr, Summers,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Thorsland,
Yes.
Tinsley,
Yes.
Wolken,
Yes.
Young,
Yes.
Clifford,
Yes.
Coert, Dillard Meyer,
Yes.
Rosales.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, we're moving on to other business. This is a recommendation from the Ad hoc IT Planning Committee. Adoption, can I get a motion for adoption of resolution number 2019-365, approving the 6-year information technology plan? Mr. Rosales, second by Ms. Taylor. Any discussion? Ms. Furtado.
First of all, I just want to commend those of you that worked on this plan. I think if we had had something like this in place 10 years ago, and some of the situations that we now find ourselves in might not be as dire. So this is the kind of sort of forward thinking, and just looking at this demonstrates a lot of work that went into it. So thank you to everybody who served on this committee. I did have, and I was reading in the paper some interviews with the chairman on this topic. Looking at the numbers, specifically on 81, the just-in-system case management, the 15. You're going along and you're like 190,000, 200,000, 300,000, which adds up to real money. But then you get to 15 million, and so I was wondering if somebody could speak to that a little bit, because it's an alarming number that we certainly don't have. So is there more to this 15 million than meets the eye?
No, not really. Courts case management systems are very expensive systems, and they cost a lot of money. In 2003, when we got the one that we have now, we spent about $2.5 million on it. That was 18 years ago, 17, 18 years ago. Most recently, some other counties in Illinois have embarked on new case management systems. In particular, Peoria County spent 20 or 25 million on theirs. So I think it's reasonable to expect that we would be looking at a $10 to $15 million price tag for a new case management system.
And so I understand that this is just a plan. So are we just voting that this is what we should be doing? I'm super familiar with capital asset plans and things like that. And, sometimes it's what you should be doing, not necessarily always what you can do. And so my concern is this is not, unless we have very serious conversations about additional revenue, this is not a thing. And so I guess that's my question. What is the...
This is guidelines for what should be planned for. It's always wise. You never want to get locked into a software platform forever and ever and ever. We've done that with the AS400. We've been on it for 50 years. We've saved millions of dollars doing that, but we're in a pickle. So I think it's important that periodically you go out and look at what's available on the market, so you're not locked into one particular system. With regards to the court case management system, it's not really a decision that you guys are going to have to make. It's more a decision that the presiding judge, the circuit clerk, the state's attorney, the public defender, the director of probation and court services, those people are going to be integral to deciding whether or not we get a court's case management system. Several of those offices also have funding sources that can be used to defray the cost of a courts case management system. You've got document storage in the circuit clerk's office, you've got courts automation, you've got probation services fees. All of those things can be tapped. Public safety sales tax could be tapped into. So you've got various places that you could tap into to pay for a significant expenditure like that. But more than likely, with something like a big purchase like that, you're going to have to bond it.
And we certainly have the bond capacity. If we have the revenue capacity to match the bond
Right.
capacity is a different issue.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. And again, just thank you to everybody who put the work into this. It was fascinating reading, if you're a nerd, which I am. So.
I appreciate that.
Mr. Goss?
Yeah, just a quick one. I know you alluded to this in the memo part of it, but do you see a quicker exit on the AS400 than, what is that, 2022? I mean, or 2025?
So I think we're going to have an AS400 platform for a long time. The JANO case management system is on an AS400. So as long as we're on JANO for a course case management system, we're going to have an AS400. There's no way to get away from it. They have no plans on abandoning that platform. That's where all their development is focused, and they don't intend to move off of it. As far as our custom programs that are on the AS400, we're down to just a few once we get the accounting system off of it. Basically, animal control, and then there's a appointments program that the county board that Megan uses, and there's some other smaller programs that shouldn't be too hard to get rid of from our part of the AS400. But for the foreseeable future, we will have an AS400. It just won't be our main business platform.
Mr. McGuire?
Maybe that works better. Thank you. And going back to the discussion about the overall price tag of all these things, I think we look at the whole thing and the big picture of thing and spending over the next few years of what you're talking about in relationship to the budget of the whole county, including facilities, spending for labor, all those things when you talk about how much money we have coming in, including when you're talking about more revenue, the taxpayers are impacted in whether they'll give us more revenue, and then prioritize what comes next as far as IT is concerned, or what comes next as far as replacing buildings, and that's how we can decide what our budget is and what things might come up on a computer system or a roof or whatever, as what funding is available, as Stephanie's talking about, or So if we go spending a bunch of money somewhere else, and we don't have available funds for computers or necessary facilities, so we want to see this plan to see where we can have that spending.
Mr. Storr?
Thank you. I commend you for doing all the things that have been necessary to move some of the activities and services off of the AS400.
Thanks.
And I recognize you've had more than your share of challenges in the past years that I've served on the board. That said, I happen to work in an organization where we had our IT folks that reported directly to that organization, and if we needed services, we could walk in and ask for services when we needed it, and that didn't hold up our work. It allowed us to work pretty quickly. Sure, we had to kind of apply for upgrades and or schedule some things, but we did have the opportunity to kind of get small things resolved right away. And I hope, as I see in here, that moving IT positions to the department, to the IT department, could be handled in such a way that it would allow people in the various departments to get access, immediate access, when needed for, to help continue their work and maybe not, and try to kind of help keep the whole thing moving is my point. And I know with your leadership that some change can be made in that regard. Thank you.
So with regards to staffing, we do have a couple of IT positions that lie outside of the county IT department. There's a courts technology specialist that reports to the circuit clerk's office, and he provides the support for the JNO course case management system for all the offices at the courthouse. And then the county clerk has a technology specialist that provides internal support for the county clerk's office. My proposal for staffing is that over time we try and realign those positions into the IT department. I think it's important to do that because we really need to maintain, we get put in, our department gets put in a lot of situations where, and it's not so bad anymore, but in the past we've been put in situations where these people that are outside of the realm of the IT department embark on projects on their own that they're not capable of finishing, and then we end up having to come in and take over those projects when, you know, we've got this big list of things that we're trying to get done. Suddenly we're having things given to us additional that we need to do to make county government work, which is our role. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. That is our role. But I think having the IT positions all centralized in the IT department would give us a better capability of planning for these events, and would also provide better support for these departments because they would get the depth of knowledge and the depth of skills that we have in the IT department, rather than having just one person that focuses on the JANO system or one person that focuses on the election system. So they're going to be able to draw into our expertise for security, for networking, for programming, for all those kind of things. Granted, there are some needs right now where I think it's more important to have people in those offices to learn what's going on. But over time, I'm hopeful that we can consolidate those positions into the IT department.
And I think that I support that conceptually, and I think outside of just projects that get started and maybe there isn't the capacity to finish, I think what we've seen this past year is also when people are in those specialized technology positions and don't communicate fully the needs of what's going on under those positions is one of the reasons that we've ended up sort of where we've been in this past budget cycle.
That's absolutely correct.
That said, so I think that that's very important, but I think, and I have the utmost confidence in Unity and in the IT that this will be done, is that we still ensure that the specialized things that both Clerk Blakeman and Clerk Ammons need are still, especially in the times when they have high capacity,
Absolutely.
that they're prioritized within that framework. So I think
Absolutely.
like the best of both worlds, but I do think that the cross training is so that the lack of, the loss of knowledge isn't literally embodied
Right.
in one person is incredibly important.
We're in a situation right now where we do provide backup for
Right.
the courts technology specialist, but our ability to back him up is limited because we don't work with him on a daily basis. So we're limited to providing support for like the daily tasks that he does when he goes on vacation. He's on vacation right now for 2 weeks, and it's really causing, I wouldn't say it's causing a struggle, but it's causing some difficulties in the circuit clerk's offices and in other offices downtown because he's not there to handle the day-to-day issues that come up in those departments. And we're not knowledgeable enough about how that software works to really step in and cover for him in those situations. So having him on our staff would allow us, potentially allow us to have other people who could cover deeper for him in these, when on vacation or something like that.
And the second thing is, I appreciated the logic and the sort of the landscape of not only moving the positions, but spaces where we currently don't have the positions. But I know I feel like I say this every third meeting. As we're looking at this, I hope that we're looking at it sort of to Mr. McGuire's point and a holistic approach of where we have staffing, where there can be savings for staffing, where we have shortfalls, where we're having problems with retention, where the salary scales aren't keeping up in order to make us competitive, so that the conversation of the IT staff is being handled in a, like, I feel like this year we spent the year doing sort of a comprehensive review of IT. I feel like we need to do the same sort of comprehensive review of staffing and staffing levels and salary in order to ensure that we're spending our resources in the smartest way possible. And so hopefully this level of sort of specificity of recommendations will be broadcast through the entire county. Like this is the kind of thing that I would like to see across the board for the entire county, because otherwise these items aren't going to be possible, right? Unless we have that more holistic approach.
Oh, and I will just say that is coming from my office starting in January. So the idea is to hopefully have that done by June for the workforce section, which is, so we have facilities and then we have IT and then we'll have workforce. Any further discussion? Okay, those in favor of the motion? Those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Andy. Okay, we're down to the auditor. Adoption of resolution number 2019-363, authorizing purchases not following the purchasing policy. Can I get a motion? Mr. Summers? Ms. Coward? Any discussion? Those in favor? Those opposed? Motion carries. Adoption of resolution number 2019-367, authorizing payment of claims. Can I get a motion? Mr. Thorsland, Mr. Goss, discussion? This would probably be a good time to ask the auditor any questions anybody has. Mr. Goss?
Yeah, I'd like an update on the CAFR, please.
Oh, sure. As I communicated with the board via an email that I know you received, the CAFR is something that has a rough draft that I sent to the external auditor, Baker Tilly. I would decline to give a fixed date, but I don't expect it to take until the end of January. That's, I think, is there anything more specific you'd want to ask about the CAFR?
Yeah, a better timeline than just till the end of January. I mean, that's a month later than we've ever been.
I just can't give you any better precision. If you want to talk about the performance and the causes of the delays, I'd be happy to do that.
Please do so.
All right. As I mentioned in the email, there are 3 extraneous factors that delay information that comes into the auditor's office. The first one was the wrap-up of the nursing home. We simply do not get client-provided data that agrees to what is on the county books. So this is something that the chief deputy and I and the external auditor are trying to make agree. The treasurer's office does have cash receipts backlog that does affect even 2018. And the circuit clerk has not returned their own reconciliation. That's something that my hands are entirely off of. So I look forward to better coordination as we go forward. And I've given much thought to ways that I can hasten the process so that allows for some reflection on my own part, but also thoughts about the way I make outreach to other offices. I think I'm just anticipating a question from you. Jim, did you want to ask about how the Clifton accountant was doing with the bank reconciliation?
Yeah, I mean, if you're prepared to answer that, that'd be great.
You bet. I just spoke with the consultant. She did require some time, at least a week, to get her bearings, to find out where to gather information and so forth. So I would not make a linear trend from this, but she finished and corrected the December 2018 reconciliation and is not done with January 2019 except for 2 of the RPC accounts. She does foresee it being kind of a bear when it comes to accounts payable and the trust and agency accounts. That's all I can tell you. She does see it as being a long and slow process.
Yeah, well, that's interesting because she's done what, on Monday? Is that her last day? I mean, that's where the funding ends on Monday.
For this year. For this year.
So we've spent $15,000 and we've almost got 2 months done?
That's correct, but I'm saying there's definitely startup costs. I don't think somebody can walk into the office and know where to begin. There's a lot of hard copy data, for example. It's not sustainable. I'm not making any endorsement.
What do you mean by that? It's not sustainable?
Oh,
You're
I
not
mean,
making-
it's clear. I mean, I think it would be very expensive if we relied on the outside consultant to reconcile the entire 2019. I think it'd be expensive.
Okay, so we're gonna start off 2020 with likely, I'll be conservative, 10 months to reconcile. We've had 12 months to do it now. What makes us think this is going to get better? How much money are we going to have to throw at this office? I mean, this is ridiculous. We're spending money here, taxpayer money. I want to know when this is going to get solved, who's learning how to do it, who's going to fix it, because guess what? When you don't get it done in 19, you're going to start out and you're going to get 20. And then 20 is going to be screwed up. I'm sick of this. Sick and tired of not knowing where we're at in this county. Am I to understand that we had 4 checks returned because we overdrew bank accounts as well?
Do you want me to transfer the mic to another elected?
That would be great.
Here you go.
We have covered anything that was overdrawn.
Yeah, well, because we don't know where we're at, that's how you overdraw something. You don't
Well,
write checks you don't have money for.
We do need a highly qualified accountant to be the chief deputy treasurer. And
Yeah, that's why
I don't have, I don't have the money to do that, but that's what I need. And I'd like the county board to evaluate what is needed in each of these offices, because my office is pretty much understaffed. And when I have somebody gone for 3 months, then it has a huge impact because I only have 4 employees.
Need I point
So
out the
I want
obvious?
to have a more qualified person be the chief deputy treasurer.
And you brought in a temporary geologist to do an accountant's job.
Well, I couldn't advertise for it when someone is on family medical leave. There's all kinds of rules and regulations that I've tried to follow, and there are real constraints in what you can do.
Yeah, it's
When
called
somebody
lack of
goes on
leadership.
leave, they've got the job, okay?
That's
And you're
correct.
not supposed to advertise for a replacement, and there's all kinds of restrictions, but that's what we have to deal with. And I want to find a person who is an accountant to be the chief deputy treasurer. And
It's
that's
real-
what I'm advertising for.
It's really ironic that this office functioned for years with that staff, that same number of FTE. And now here we are, we're right back. You're going to want more employees. You've got a 2020 budget that you're already telling us you're not going to make. We already know you've blown through the 2019. I mean, this is shameful.
I lost a key person back in January, and we have to get someone of that caliber. But sometimes when you promote somebody, you don't know if they can do the job or not. I assumed that somebody who had been there for many years was able to do it, and she just found it extremely difficult. But you don't know that. I mean, I've been to a lot of offices where the chief person is someone who had worked there for 18 years. But you don't know until somebody tries something, and sometimes it doesn't work. But I will tell you that I've had a lot of experience in saving literally millions of dollars for taxpayers in this county and also as the mayor of Urbana. And that's what my goal is to do.
Okay, Jim, and then we need to move on to we haven't voted on this question yet.
I don't know that this office is designed to save money. I think it's a pass-through, as many of the taxing bodies are suggesting. It's not to make money in that office. And I don't know that it takes 11 months to find a key person to run the office. I think that's one of the issues. You should focus on the job that's required for the treasurer's office, because it's creating great havoc out in the community.
Okay, anything else, Mr. Director?
Yeah, I have a question related to the motion on the floor. Am I interpreting this that the county clerk, the two expenditures, does that mean they weren't put out for bid since no purchase order was issued?
Point of order. That one's already passed.
I
John.
thought we were just
No,
discussing.
we already passed that one. Sorry.
We're on number 2,
We're on number 2.
We're on payment. of
authorizing
claims.
payment of claims.
Are you saying I'm a page behind?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
All right, any further discussion on this question at hand? Ms. Eisenman? Yeah?
Okay. Hello, Treasurer. I guess my question's back to you that I asked earlier. So what do we say to the school districts in Champaign County that aren't getting the checks? Because truly, like they said, I mean, their jobs are hard enough, and they are doing all that they can to educate the children in Champaign County, and it's hard to do without the money. And so
I think we have distributed the taxes, and we're going to distribute the final distribution.
and when will that be? Because as they sat here tonight, they don't know when that's going to be.
I guess it's going to be in January. We have a new system of collecting taxes and distributing things, and it's called DevNet. And every time you go to a new system, there's always going to be a lot of problems. And we're told that the person who knows how to do this is going to be on vacation and won't be back until January, so DevNet can't deal with it. So we'll get it done as fast as we can, but as I said, this whole year has been very difficult because we went to a whole new property tax system.
I guess I just feel like my heart goes out to the superintendents because I know how hard they work. And so if they gave that excuse to any parent that came in and said, oh, we've got all sorts of new teachers and we're understaffed, nobody would accept that answer as a superintendent to anything that was going wrong in the school. And so I guess it's unacceptable that that's the answer we're given to these people that are working so hard for our county. I just don't, I mean, there's nobody else that can do the check besides one person, is my question.
This is DevNet, which is the system that was adopted by the county board
Yeah.
before I got to be the treasurer. And every time you go to a new system, there's always going to be a lot of difficulty.
You said that, yeah. I got
mean,
that.
I don't think there ever has been a switch to from one system to another without running into problems. And so that's what the problem has been this year. We expect it to work better next year, but we did have a completely new property tax system from top to bottom. And, you know, with new people coming in and trying to run it, and
I guess I'm simple-minded, so
we
if you
expect
could,
it to work better next year, but when I was telling the superintendents I didn't see any problems, that's because I wasn't familiar with what was going to happen with DevNet.
so tell me specifically, what is the problem with DevNet? We keep putting it on DevNet. What they issue the checks to the superintendents or the school districts?
DevNet is the whole process for collecting and distributing taxes.
So they have our taxpayers' money right now, and it's sitting on
No,
DevNet's desk or your desk?
It's not sitting on my desk, I can assure you. We distribute the money, but we also have to work with this computerized system in order to do it.
Okay. So again, finances is not my ballgame, so I want you to explain it as simply as can be. So there's only one person at DevNet that can help these school districts.
Well,
That's
what
on
they
vacation.
told me was that their person is on vacation and will be back in January, and that is the only person that they have that understands this particular thing. That's what they said.
And we're just going to accept that as a county. I
Well,
just think
it's
that
going to
this
be in
is sad.
January. We're not very far from January, so I think we'll get it done. But
And what if it doesn't happen? I mean, like,
well, if it doesn't
it's
happen, we'll have to
unacceptable.
deal
I
with
don't know.
that. But you know, all I'm telling you is that this is a whole new system, And every county that has adopted it ends up using it, but everybody has a problem the first year. It's never done smoothly when you go from one computer system to another. That's just the way the world is, unfortunately.
Okay, are we ready to vote on this motion now? I'm sorry, Ms. Walken?
Yes, I just have one comment, and it's something that you said to me last week, and again, you mentioned it tonight about how much money you're saving the county with interest income. Well, I can see where the interest income is coming if we're not making the payments that we should be making. Again, your office is not a revenue stream. The money needs to go out, not sitting there earning interest. So
We're not holding on to money that's needed to be paid out. We're paying the bills on time. That is distribution of tax money for the districts, and I'm not investing their money. I'm investing the county money. I'm not investing the school district's money, okay? We keep them completely separate.
Question is, why isn't the school districts getting their money if you got it over there in the bank? There was two guys
I
here
think-
tonight who said
well, I
they
think
didn't
the
get
school-
anything from you.
I don't think that's true. We can tell you what the school districts have been given over the past year. You said they didn't get any money from
There
us.
was two men here.
Okay, but they did get money.
Mr.
We did pay out the taxes that were collected.
Big White and Mr. Andrew Larson said they was still looking for money. One guy had shown where he gotten money in May, June, July, and August for years, and it stopped last year. Am I right? Am I the only one that heard that? Okay.
Okay, so you think that the schools have not gotten any money this year?
That's what two gentlemen said
Okay,
right
well,
there
that is
tonight
not
and
correct.
said.
That is not correct, okay?
Yeah, they said they hadn't gotten a payment for their final for this year.
Yeah, but they've gotten most of their money. There is another small distribution that's going to go out, but they've gotten most of their money, okay?
Okay, to clarify, yes, there are payments that have gone out to the school districts. They are done in increments, as he was quoting earlier, and the last distribution has not gotten out. It should be out at this point in time, and it is not out yet. So the last distribution, how much ever money that is not out yet. Yeah, she's made the other payments earlier in the year, but not the last one yet. Yeah. Okay, I think we're ready to vote on this motion. So we are going back to adoption of the resolution authorizing payment of claims. Those in favor? Those opposed? Mr. Goss is against, okay. Motion carries. And I think we are at the end of our agenda for tonight. The meeting is adjourned.